And when we say leadership, it's not you come and we want to make you a leader of however many people. Leadership for yourself. And if you are able to lead yourself, you will be able to lead others.
Number 1 Business and Self-Development Podcast. Connected Minds Podcast.
Humanity cannot forget its leaders and dreamers. And these are the people who dare to change the world. Today's conversation with Dr. Khadija, it's about leadership and how she's doing amazing work in Ghana through her foundation, Akaya. You're welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, how you been?
Been good, not too bad. Very busy, but yeah.
Yeah. When we were speaking, you were saying that there's a lot of things going on right now.
Yes.
Your timetable is full.
Very full. And my time here is quite short.
You've got some experience in NGOs, non-for-profit, through Melanin Medics. Now, what role do you play in that organization that allowed you to be able to set up Akaya?
Yeah, so Melanin Medics, I like to say, is one of my adopted babies. Initially started by my really good friend, Dr. Alamade Dada, who we were all medical students at the time. I think we were halfway through our 6-year program. And in the UK, it's known that, I guess, there's a lack of diversity amongst Black healthcare professionals in medicine. So when we were in medical school, you can literally count on your hands the number of medical students that would be in the lecture hall with you that were also Black. So she, I guess, poured out that sort of pain into a blog called Melanin Medics. And later on, I think there were about 5 of us, not too long after she started the blog. 5 of us came together and we thought, okay, let's make something out of this, turn it into an organization where we help support other individuals like ourselves who aspire to become doctors in the UK, help them with their journey into medicine. Initially, it started off with outreach. Let's simply go into schools and show up that, yes, we look like you and we are on our way to becoming doctors. So definitely you can do it too. Targeting schools that have a high ethnic minority population in lower, I guess, socioeconomic areas within London. And fast forward this year, I believe we turned 7 years old. And
wow,
the amount of work we do just goes beyond getting students in. We assist medical students, we assist doctors, we advocate on various issues relating to race, health inequalities within the UK. We work with some of the medical giants in the UK and serving on their advisory boards. So yeah, it's been a journey. But my role at the moment, aside being one of the co-founders, is director of programs. So all our mentorship programs, outreach, workshops, falls under my umbrella.
No, that's beautiful. You guys have done amazing.
Thank you.
In Ghana, right, I've heard stories of, teachers sleeping with young girls for sanitary pads. And, this is awful.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of things going on in the schools. Now, what made you focus on young girls, especially for your foundation, Akaya? Yeah,
I think generally, you can include Melanin Medics, the Melanin Medics experience, but I think over the years, just since, I guess, I was young, I've always had an affinity or been drawn towards helping people, but especially young people. I think that time period is very crucial for, I guess, creating a very strong foundation, creating positive imprints into the minds of young people, because that will then determine their trajectory moving forwards. I mean, we can also apply it to, I guess, how we function as adults. Some of our previous experiences, especially within childhood, have a really, have a huge impact in the way we navigate our lives as adults. We can especially say that with some of the traumas that some people may experience. So when you look at, I guess, individuals who may have committed certain crimes or need certain, I guess, therapy or help, a lot of the issues stem from within childhood. Right. So that time period is very crucial, which is why at Akaya we focus on young women and girls, especially because we know that young females here experience a lot of challenges. You mentioned, access to sanitary pads is still an issue here in Ghana, unfortunately, and other parts of the world. And that, I guess, has knock-on effect on girls accessing education, going to school. And if you don't have that education, how are you then able to, I guess, have a fulfilling career in life, or even have the education to know what's wrong, what's right, aside, getting a job and having a bright future ahead?
interesting how you mentioned education because, traditionally, right, especially around here, women were, made to be at home, help their husbands.
Yeah.
In most cases, I remember my grandma, farming with husband. There wasn't really proper development in terms of education for the ladies.
Yeah.
Now, my mom doesn't have very good education. Neither does my grandma. In fact, within our family, the women don't have very high education. They only started from our time, from the millennials. So, how is Akaya going to help, changing that narrative? Because it is changing rapidly around here. What's your foundation's role in that as well?
Definitely. I think things are, or times are very much changing, where we are now sort of starting to see women, I guess, on the equal playing field. It's not to say that, because women get an education, some of them will neglect, I guess, the traditional roles that they may have. A woman can do it all. However, we just believe that women shouldn't be shut off to the opportunity of getting access to an education and also fulfilling her potential dreams that she may have. So how we play a role in that, we sort of, I guess, fight for that cause across the various projects that we have. And I guess to name the projects that we have the Like Her project, and that's the initial secondary school or senior high school, as you guys say, or junior high school, basic school workshops that we deliver to the young girls in the schools. And that focuses on menstrual hygiene, it focuses on communication, it focuses on confidence. Because aside, in order to empower a young woman, you need to meet her basic needs. And if getting access to a sanitary pad is her basic needs and she's not being able to have that, what's confidence? What's communication? She don't care about that. She needs the pad for her basic rights, as a woman. So we make sure that we tackle the two through those workshops that we do. And today, I think, we went to do about 200 girls last week in a central region. And to date, we've done just over 3,000 girls across Ghana through that Like Her project. Secondly, last summer, we launched an internship program. It's young women, especially in higher education or tertiary education, as you say, in Ghana, don't have access to certain opportunities. I guess internships. And if you do, you're not likely going to be paid. So we thought, why not set up a program where we can actually have a small number of ladies come on board to actually help us not only run Akaya, but experience a very intense mentorship leadership program, 2.5 months. Aside that, you also have to work together to propose a social action project that can potentially be invested into. So we had 5 young ladies from various universities join us, fulfilling different roles, working very hard. It was very intense. If you ask them, they said, oh my gosh, tough experience, but they enjoyed it. It's that sort of push that you need. And following on from then, we have Project ISI. Myself, I'm a diaspora. I wasn't born and raised in Ghana, which is a very key point in relation to the foundation, because I don't know what it's like to be a young girl in Ghana. I don't know. And I can only assume how it feels to be a young girl in Ghana. I can only assume what you need. So I make sure I place emphasis on the team who have such lived experiences to suggest, okay, this is what it's like. This is what we need. Maybe we should implement this in Akaya. I see myself as, I guess, the body that helps pull the resources together to make sure that we actually get what needs to be, get it done, basically, get the work done. So being, a member of the Diaspora, December is a very popular time for us all. Notoriously party. But we want to change that narrative a little bit. Yes, party, but also give back. You probably come to Ghana, experience the glitz and glam, but the reality of the situation of this country is actually something that everybody needs to be aware of. So we have members of the Diaspora come on board with us, volunteer, and Project ISI is partnered with an amazing gentleman called Harold Ofori. And what we do is we do an annual school renovation development project. So last December, we contributed towards continuing to finish building a school, and we had Diaspora on board went to see the waterfalls nearby, a bit of tourism, and also come along, fix some bits and bobs, paint the school wall, play sports with the kids, interact, all that. So it was an amazing day and everybody really had good fun. And we plan to do that every year.
Beautiful. Beautiful. When you have grown up abroad, when I moved to Ghana 5 years ago, I'm still going through the cultural differences that we have. And sometimes you're thinking to yourself, would they ever end? Would I ever get to understand how things work here? After 5 years, I'm still asking myself that. How has it been for you trying to do business here?
What a question. I used to think, oh my gosh, maybe one day I want to live in Ghana. Every day, my mind is changing. I'm starting to think maybe I actually can't. Maybe I think the hybrid right now is working for me, because I think the challenges, I grew to understand them more through the work that we do at Akaya. Sometimes, and also when we're used to a certain way of running things in the UK, like communication is quick.
Yep.
I'm sending an email, I'm going to get a response in, 24, 48 hours, maybe within the week. Absolutely fine. In this setting, email, you'll be lucky.
Yeah.
And when we work with institutions, for example, the education service, because we work with schools, so we want to formalize some of the work that we do. So we need to build that partnership, especially with the conference, I would say, a lot of challenges and just why you just think, why is it this something so simple? Where is the sense? Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's working with schools. It's, you need to, for example, there's no email, so hand letters. My team are scattered across majority Accra. So it's like now having to take hand letters to a school when this conversation can easily be had on email. And then when we want to do follow-up, contact number you refuse to provide. And then when we do go back in to follow up, it's, oh, sorry, we lost the letter. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So it's these unnecessary hurdles that you have to experience. And then when you talk to, or when you are trying to engage with the bigger bodies, it's always, okay, well, what's in it for us? Why should that even be a question? This is a charity. This is a non-profit organization. What do you mean by what's in it for us? Already, we experience challenges with funding, and we are funneling all our funding towards the beneficiaries, towards the people who need it. So what does a big corporation need? Why do you need to think selfishly about some of the things that we are trying to accomplish here? So those are a few of the challenges, that we've experienced, but we are, we've tried to navigate our way. Sometimes it makes me very frustrated, but the team look at me like, you don't know we are in Ghana. So yeah, that's how it's been.
This is where the opportunities are.
Yeah.
Because we see so many problems.
Yeah.
And if all the systems were aligned like the West, there will be less opportunities for some of us who come into the business. We see these opportunities and it presents serious challenges to us to work and fix them. Last year, we did some work in my hometown. We did a huge health screening, got people come through from Rwanda, from the UK. And just before the screening, in fact, we had fixed everything for 6 months in advance. 2 weeks before, we had a huge challenge from one of the chiefs. They wanted to sabotage it. Put that down the line. And then we had phone calls from the health workers, this, that. Basically, look, the whole top and bottom of that is that they wanted to find out whether we've gotten some money from somewhere and what can they get out of it. So when you were saying it, I was smiling. Yeah. But it is what it is here. You see problems, you want to help fix it, and people think you've got millions of dollars from somewhere. Why is that?
It's honestly, I think the challenge lies with, I guess, maybe with the way that we try to plan or organize things. It comes across as, okay, wow, super professional, high quality, meaning there's a lot of funding behind this. And if, like you mentioned, you had people coming from all over, okay, wow. And if they're coming from all over, then they have a lot of money. So what else can we get
Yes.
out of this?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the actual duty that you are there to fulfill, they overlook it. What about the health of the people that live within your community? Is that not paramount to you as opposed to the money that you'll get out of it? And then you just think, what's going on in the connections, in the brains? But
Yeah. It's true. And you know, the other thing as well is always the people within the team. You face huge challenges on that side as well. Within the same team that you work with. I'm not sure whether you've come across any.
My
so far.
team, honestly, I would say they are God sent.
Wow.
Without them, nothing, literally. Everyone is based, no, actually, bar one and myself, everyone is based here. And they are incredibly hardworking, honestly, and just the passion that they have, the work that they put into it is amazing. I'll be texting them anytime in the day, and they'll respond like that. They'll be able to get anything done like that. And it's just the best team ever.
No, that's beautiful. I'm happy to hear that. At least on that side,
Yes,
you're good.
yes.
Yeah. Khadija, developing leaders is at the core of your foundation. What sort of role models did you have growing up?
So with role models, personally, I think I like to categorize internal and external. And this is what I also encourage other young ladies as well, or anyone, to be honest. Internal is somebody within your reach, somebody within your circle. You can have multiple, but growing up as a young girl, for me, that was my mum. Noticing how hardworking she was whilst also trying to, I guess, take care of her 3 young kids. She was she is a huge role model in that sense. Externally, I will always say Michelle Obama. And an external role model is somebody you may not necessarily meet in life. Thankfully, I've engaged with her quite a few times. However, somebody you look up to, maybe you see in the media or you've read about and you potentially aspire to be like. And for me, like I said, it's definitely Michelle Obama, how she carries herself, how she's been able to accomplish the many things that she's been able to do, and just the woman that she embodies herself as.
We have spent hours of time and resources putting this content together. Now, unfortunately, many of the people we get on this channel are viewers and not subscribers. Please subscribe and become part of the family, as this will allow us to produce even better content for you. I guess for you, right, to even get to the point where you get to even speak to Michelle Obama, it's been your mom. It's been, you've seen her as giving you the life, giving you the upbringing, the tools that you needed to be able to come out.
Yeah.
And then now shine for people to see who you are. And then identify yourself within other people as well.
Yeah.
She's done a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's done a great job. These young girls that you speak with, engage with, what are some of the things you see within them that you think are lacking, and for that reason need development?
Yeah.
In terms of leadership.
Yeah, this is a very, very good question. So when we go on our her project visits, so the school workshops, it may be good, but it may also be bad. I always tend to draw a comparison in relation to a young girl that is probably 13, 14 years old compared to a young girl 13, 14 years old in the UK. A huge difference is confidence. In the UK, I think we are raised to be inquisitive. We are raised to ask questions. We always say, why? Why do we have to do this? Or, we want to question. But in Ghana, it's very different. You are told XYZ, therefore just take it as XYZ. No questions, that's it. Which, yes, in some situations can apply. However, it puts young children or individuals in a box where you feel as though you can't set yourself free and maybe open your minds to different possibilities out there, especially for young girls, when you are then also facing these stereotypes of you are supposed to be at home, you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to not necessarily dream. it also dampens the confidence that these young girls have. So they're just quiet. When we're going to the schools, our sessions require a lot of engagement and interaction. In the beginning, we noticed that girls aren't as open as they should be. But as we progress through the session, you can literally see them come out. The confidence just shines bright. It's like they have it within them, but it's about unleashing it, giving them that room or the space to know that, okay, actually, I'm fine. It's okay for me to speak up. So confidence is one big thing. I think education-wise, maybe the word is comprehension as well. There is a bit of a gap. But then again, different contexts. So I feel as though I can't draw, too much of a comparison there. Another difference I would say is, I think it's mostly the confidence. In order to be able to speak up, because I guess here the voice of the woman is deemed not necessarily significant. So with the workshops that we do, we incorporate communication and public speaking skills. And that's where the girls are given the chance to actually stand up, deliver a speech or a talk on any random given topic in a set period of time, to, I guess, share your voice, share your opinion. And that's where we see a lot of girls, I guess, come alive. And it's very, very crucial that, we develop these aspects and we do what's necessary. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of the work that, I guess NGOs or similar NGOs do. A lot of the time, everybody is doing menstrual hygiene education and donating sanitary pads. But once we provide the girls with that, what else? What's next? They're still going to be the shy, closed off girl who we then expect to somehow make it through to senior high school, university. There's no way you can navigate university without a sense of self-confidence. How can you navigate relationships? Because that's when you encounter boys, when you encounter men, your sense of self is within them. You seek approval from them. You don't believe you're beautiful unless somebody else tells you you're beautiful, which is a huge problem. So I guess that's where we come in and highlight the importance of leadership. And when we say leadership, it's not you come and we want to make you a leader of however many people. Leadership for yourself. And if you are able to lead yourself, you will be able to lead others.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. These days we are seeing a lot more, I like to use ladies rather than women. Ladies who are taking on leadership roles. I'm surprised if, in the next 8 years, Ghana gets a president who's a lady. You are not only seeing this lack of confidence in the ladies, though, because I speak to a lot of men as well. Like I'll go to the pharmacy and then I'll say, hey, this is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of men and I'm trying to hear someone speak out and nobody's speaking. So there must be something cultural about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. I think when you grow up, you just keep quiet and listen, do as you're told. And like I said, in the UK, yes, that can apply within our households because if you're first generation, your parents came from that same environment, and they want to apply how they grew up to the UK setting. But that's when the UK environment, especially school, will bring that whole or unleash that, I guess, confidence or inquisitiveness of, okay, well, why? Or how do I do this? Well, I don't like it like this, but can we do it this way? Or, creating spaces where it's okay for you to speak up. That doesn't apply here because if you do, it's seen as you being disrespectful and we need to change that narrative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My kids are downstairs, right? And if you spend 3 minutes with them after here, they will ask you a lot of questions. They would want to know who you are.
Yeah.
They will ask you so many questions, but that's because we allow them to be able to do that. But then they step out and somebody says, hey. And then I tell the person, you don't speak to my kids like that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult trying to let these kids, behave in a way where they are curious about life itself, being in this environment.
Yeah.
I spoke to a mutual friend of ours, And, she wanted to know how you appear so fearless and confident. Now, I guess the question really is, what are the cues? Give us.
I would say, I've not always been, I guess, this way. Growing up, I used to be very shy. I got to secondary school, and I think we can say I found my calling, or it was an avenue where I thought, this is where I realized that I really want to help people. Aside the traditional medicine route of being a doctor and helping people that way, but also speaking up for others who necessarily aren't able to speak up for themselves. So I saw myself taking up leadership positions right from, I guess, the get-go in secondary school when those opportunities became available. For example, mentoring the younger students, sitting on various committees, for programs at the secondary school that I went to. So I think having that space of being able to grow and do what you want to do, whatever you set your mind to, was really key to me building my confidence as well. Surrounding yourself with individuals who, I guess, have a similar mindset, or that go-getter attitude as well really helped. And I think also knowing the circumstances from which I came from, which lower socioeconomic household, single parent household, you are always, I guess, told, or you feel as though, well, if these are my circumstances, then I will not amount to anything, or it's going to also be my circumstances as well. And it takes a certain level of, I guess, belief in yourself, determination, and confidence to tell yourself that, yes, those are my circumstances, but were my circumstances in the past. That doesn't mean that the same thing is going to happen to me. I need to break free of those circumstances that I was experiencing in order to change my own narrative. That came in the form of getting a scholarship to a private sixth form, where I wasn't even thinking of private education because there's no way we could afford that. So getting the scholarship, being put in a different environment where it's like, obviously everybody around you has heavy pockets, but then looking at the education that you receive in a private school compared to a public school that you've always been to your whole life, like, wow, there's huge difference. Government school, there's like 30 of you in the classroom. Obviously in Ghana, it's a different story. But in the context of the UK, 30 to like 7 of you in a classroom, which I've never experienced. The one-to-one time, the support that they give you, knowing that you want to become a doctor, so your university applications, the examination support, all of that really, I guess, opened my eyes to the differences that we encounter. And it just taught me there are so many young, bright people like myself who more than qualify to receive this type of education. However, it's the lack of finances that stops them from getting access to this and then ending up on a different trajectory. So I guess that also stemmed, or I guess brought the seed of Melanin Medics into play, where we bridge that gap and provide that extra support. But yeah, the question was on confidence. I think it was the early stages, and then just growing up, navigating different challenges and just telling myself, well, okay, this is another one. Let me cross that bridge as well. So yeah, I would say.
So you get invited to do a TED Talk. And then you prepare the speech, and then you sit with someone, and then they wanted you to do it again and again and again until you get it right. Now, how do you feel? How did you feel at that point where you thought you did your best to be able to go and stand and then give that talk?
Oh, so the TED, what year was it? Oh my God, 2023 or 2022? I've lost, my years are all jumbled up now. But that particular time period was very crazy, hectic. I think I found out I was going to be giving the talk in, let's say, April of that year. The June, July was when I came back to do the second visit with, Akaya wasn't born yet, but I came back to do the second visit of the 300, 400 girls that I mentioned earlier. Right after coming back from Ghana, I think it was not even 48 hours later, I had to go to the US for a speaking engagement. And within that time span, I was supposed to obviously work on my speech, but the challenges, I couldn't. And my TEDx mentors, you get given mentors to help you. They were like, are you sure you can do this? What's going on? I managed to find time to do a first draft and I read it out to them. They were like, it's okay, but we don't really feel anything. Like, and then they started to ask me some deep questions. And it was through a major conversation where I was like, okay, I'm going to actually go away, sit down. I think I did my second draft whilst I was in the US in the hotel room. And I put everything into it. So then we came to do a second reading and I gave my speech and they started crying and they were like, this is what we needed. Yeah. I said, okay, fine. So I guess that time period is just memorizing the speech and I guess putting your all into it until the big day. And the TEDx is called Representation Will Create Medicine That Saves Lives, which is an area that I'm very, very passionate about, especially through Melanin Medics. And just growing up where you have a lack of role models who look like you. The narrative is, of course, changing. We're starting to see more Black healthcare professionals in medicine. Still a bit of a way to go, but since Melanin Medics, we have seen huge changes. And yeah, the TEDx experience was one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences ever. And it's definitely something that has really shaped my speaking career as well.
Wow. Great. Yeah. And I watched it. You did well.
Thank you.
Yeah. As a leader in your field, how do you take failures and disappointment? How do you take it?
Good question. I think for me, I've always seen failures, disappointments, rejections. It's cliche to say, but I always see it as redirection. I think I'm very much of a person that believes everything happens for a reason. Maybe God says this was not your particular destiny. Maybe this wasn't for you. So I'm always like, fine, we've encountered this rejection or this disappointment. Use example of maybe some of the funding opportunities that, Akaya wants to go for. Maybe growing up, I would have applied for leadership programs or anything like that. Maybe I would get rejected from them. Or if something doesn't go right or as the way I planned it. And it's always for me, okay, well, this opportunity isn't for me. Maybe it's my time to go back, reflect, rework it and apply again, or the next opportunity will come knocking sooner rather than later. And another thing, or another way I like to think about it is, well, it's inevitable in life. Life is hard. For everyone, you will encounter failure, you will encounter disappointment, you will encounter challenges. So I guess don't be surprised when it comes knocking on your door. Yes, it will hurt. We are human. We have to experience the emotions. But once you get over that period, what's next? How am I going to go again? Or what's the next opportunity that I'm going to go for even bigger and better?
Wow. That's good. I'm empowered. When you were speaking, you mentioned about coming from a single parent home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were speaking earlier, and then I was saying that I know a few young guys who came from a single parent home. And there's usually a misconception that, well, I don't know if it is. In some cases, you see that it's true, especially with the men, that they really don't grow up to become very, very much like what the society expect people to be. You're very different, right? You've come out awesome. You're a doctor, in leadership roles, trying to help other people. Really enlightened in that level. Now, how was life like, growing up in that single parent home?
Yeah. I would say very early period of life, it was a full household. Then circumstances changed where it became a single parent household. And everybody speaks about the eldest daughter syndrome, whereby you, as an eldest daughter, there is a lot of responsibility. But being an eldest daughter in a single parent household, the responsibility is next level. You become the second mother. And especially when there is only one parent in a household, it's much more of a heavier duty that you have to now experience or put yourself into or fulfill that role as a young girl, whereby if you compare it to another household, as a young girl, full household, you're, I guess, princess of the family, and not a mother in the household. So that sense of responsibility has been there from the get-go, being able to look after my brothers whilst mum is out trying to make a living so that we can actually eat. So the eldest daughter syndrome is very, very real. And growing up in a single parent household, I have that responsibility whilst also trying to navigate life in relation to, well, I want to become a doctor. I know these challenges exist, but I'm still going to try my best. And, do extremely well in my academics, try and get into medical school, navigate medical school and whatsoever. But yeah, I think that's the major impact that being in a single parent household had on me. But a lot of it is also dependent on the parents as well and how they parent their children. Because like you mentioned, in your experience, individuals who do come from single parent households had a different pathway. We could also, I guess, align that with parents and how they parent their children and how they empower their children. But it's not easy. So you can't always place the blame on a parent. But yeah, I think for me, the main impact was having that responsibility from early. Would I say it robbed me of actually having time to be a child? Maybe a little bit, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
My dad has always been in the picture from a distance, going, especially as an adult. And since I started coming back to Ghana as an adult, I've always been seeing him. But unfortunately, last May, he passed. So again, yes, I come from a single parent household, but losing a parent that you still love and had a connection with, and a parent who, wanted to try and build that relationship again is tough. So going through grief is also another wahala on the side as well.
Yeah. Sorry about your loss. I've got questions from the previous guests.
Mm-hmm.
And the first, in fact, usually it's just one question, right? But our friend decided to give you two. And he was wearing white as well. So maybe there was a connection there somewhere. So the first question is, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Nothing. To be honest, like I said, I'm very much, everything happens for a reason. And if this is how things are today, and thank God, everything is not perfect, but thank God things are going okay, and amazingly well across Melanin Medics, across Akaya, across whatever else I'm involved in, then if I'm to change something, only God knows what it would have become. So for me, I don't think I will change anything.
Great. Then his second question is money, health, and relationships. Which one would you prioritize and why?
I'm going to say health.
Okay.
Not just because I'm a doctor, but I think without health, how are you able to, I guess, be yourself to make money?
Right.
How are you able to be healthy enough to have healthy relationships? And health doesn't necessarily mean physical health, but also mental health. Your mental health is impacted, it will affect the relationships you build. Your mental health is impacted, it will affect you either working, whether it be setting up your business or whatever, or making money in whichever way you do, that's also going to be impacted as well. So I would go with health.
Awesome. Motivation or discipline?
I'm going to say discipline. For me, I ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing, especially with Akaya? Because we are relatively small, although our impact is huge. And you could say, well, I'm a young woman. I've got almost 3 years experience working as a doctor. Why not focus on building wealth? Why am I, quote unquote, maybe wasting my time trying to help others, whatnot? Or you could say that with Melanin Medics as well. But I find myself questioning, like, why? Why do I, come back from work from the hospital and I'm, working with the team, bunch of admin that we've got to do for Akaya? Why am I in all these meetings, having all these discussions, building up all these partnerships? Am I getting paid at the moment? No, but it's fulfilling my heart's desires. It's my purpose. It's my calling. And if this is what God has called me to do, no money in the world will, I guess, shift my mindset. And so for me, I would say it's the discipline that keeps me going. Yes, you'll have the motivation, but motivation will fluctuate. Motivation will fluctuate, and discipline will help you wake up in the morning and actually log on to this meeting, send this email, ask this team member to do something, and actually get the work done. My opinion.
I agree. It's well put. What's the best advice you ever received?
Best advice, I would say, keep going. And that's the advice I always give to young people whenever I engage with any of them, or even in majority of my talks that I give. My advice is to keep going, because of the fact that, like I said, life is challenging. There's ups and downs. We all go through something. However, don't beat yourself up over the fact that you may be encountering challenges and think the world is ending or life is over. You still have to find me to keep going.
I like that. You just motivated me. So, what's your favorite personal development book?
Ooh, favorite personal development book. I'll name a few. I like everybody mentions Rich Dad Poor Dad. Michelle Obama's Becoming was very interesting for me. And then one also, what's the name of the book? It's by Stephen Bartlett.
Diary of a CEO.
No, the one before that. Happy.
Forgot the title.
Oh, I forgot the title. But
Yeah.
it's his book prior to Diary of a CEO.
Okay, great. I like the fact that you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad first. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, that
books.
was. I think it was one uncle that I read it at a very young age. One uncle was like, "Yeah, take this. You must read it."
Yeah, that your uncle is a clever man.
Oh yes,
He's a clever man.
very impactful in my life.
Yeah. Have you got a question for our next guest? I'm ready to
For the
write.
Next guest, my question would be: how do you? Okay, so everybody talks about balance, and I feel like nowadays we're questioning whether balance truly exists. So I want to know from the next speaker: do they believe balance in life really exists, where you can have it all in relation to family, relationships, money, business? That sort of, you can construct it nicely. But yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not the one that's supposed to answer that question.
Oh, and I have another one.
Okay.
How do you stay sane and look after yourself?
How do you stay sane? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Wow. Funny how the two white people were white. They both have had two questions. Anything you want to tell our audience on Connected Minds?
I would like to say thank you for having me, first of all, and also thank you to the listeners who tune in to Connected Minds. If they want to find out any more information about myself, it is Dr. Khadija Owusu on LinkedIn, at Khadija Owusu on Instagram and Twitter/X. If you're interested in finding more about Akaya, it's Akaya on LinkedIn, at Akaya Foundation on Instagram and Twitter/X as well. And we would love and appreciate all the support we can get.
We've been speaking to Dr. Khadija. And if you haven't subscribed, please do share this and become part of the family. Hey, stay connected.